Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is White Post Kitchen Part 1. It's been a long time coming. It's taken us a while to get the whole video together and the kitchen. This is the kitchenette that we started with. It took us quite a while to get this thing apart and down. It was like a nice IKEA setup that just had a lot of brackets and everything was bolted together from the countertops to the cabinets to the walls. So it took a good bit of disassembling to even get it out of the kitchen. It, like I said, it was super heavy, and it took us a few minutes to kind of like break this thing apart. I was hoping that I could save it and either repurpose it or sell it as like a whole kitchenette piece, but the way it was just screwed together and bolted to the wall, like they did not want this thing going anywhere, and we really weren't able to save much of it once we got it apart. I mean, even the two of us could barely even carry it once we got it out of there. So he's just finally he had to unhook all the plumbing, electrical, everything was fished through the cabinet, so it didn't come off super well. But here in a second, he'll break it free from the wall. There we go, we got it. And so next, it was starting to get that particle board down from the wall. We weren't exactly sure why they would have covered up the logs in the first place, but soon I realized that it was hiding something. There was something behind it. There was some reason why they put this up there. So as I was looking around trying to figure out what it is, if you can see by my hand, there's a piece of trim up there. So that told me there was definitely, something behind there. We sort of assumed it was probably an old door or window. We weren't really sure. So we just wanted to do this reveal to show you guys what actually was back there. This used to be a one-room cabin, so most likely it did have a front entrance and a back exit. But also this house used to have an addition that they had to demolish just because it was crumbling and falling down. So they took the addition off and re-sided the back of the house, so you wouldn't really have been able to see, any old doors or windows or whatever might be there. Like I said, they attached everything to this wall as well. The electrical, the plumbing, even the dryer vent was fished through this wall. You can see they even had an outlet attached to the wall right up against the insulation, which was probably not very smart, but as you can see by now, it was definitely a door back there. So Ross had to end up cutting around all of this electrical that they had attached to the board until we could get everything disconnected from the panel box and safely remove it. But this allowed us to go ahead and just get this board off and figure out what we're gonna do, because we really didn't plan for a door to be there. So I had originally bought like a taller refrigerator, thinking maybe we could cover the opening with a refrigerator and then be able to leave the rest of the wall exposed, the logs. But then that would mean that we would have the refrigerator right up against the sink, because I wanted to put it in front of the window. Then another option was to maybe like shiplap over the door and put the stove there, so we would have like a backsplash covering up the extra part of the door. But again, that would put the stove right up against the sink and not give us a whole lot of counter space for prepping. So we decided we'd probably just shiplap that wall and move the stove down and then put the refrigerator in a different spot. So we kind of had to play with that layout a little bit. Once we decided not to go with a traditional stove, it also made more sense to just move the stove further down, because it's not a built-in stove. It's the 1950s Magic Chef. Eventually we do get this wall unhooked and taken down, and then I'll show you where we originally placed the cabinets, and we're trying to figure out exactly how to work around this doorway that we found So here it comes. It was super heavy for not being real wood. It was like a solid press board. I'm not even sure how to explain it, but that thing was solid. After we get that down, you can see there's the door, and then this is the cabinets that we have set up, trying to decide if we leave space there for appliance or not. Then I started painting cabinets. We switched out the color at one point. It was too blue. We picked like a sage, and then I went with this avocado green, which I'm really happy with. Outside it looked pretty dark, but inside it looks great. There's the kids just hanging out, living in the moment. No one really cares that we're just eating on the floors in the middle of this kitchen renovation. Then I had to finish painting all the doors, reinstall the doors, and as you can see, it's coming along really nice. This paint was great. It just goes like, I guess, like a self-leveling cabinet paint, so it like blurs out any imperfections, and it looks really good. Hopefully it holds up and I'm not repainting them every couple of years. So this is the sink, drain board sink, and I actually had to use a bathroom faucet. Then we got a Marketplace dishwasher and put in the refrigerator. After that, I started to finish these butcher block countertops with a sealant, food safe sealant. They recommend that you do at least 3 coats, and you have to leave it for a minimum of 6 hours in between each coat. So I was really impatient, wanting to get these countertops done so I could finally set things on top and cook on something besides like the table or floor or wherever I was cooking. I will probably have to remove everything and sand them down and redo them, just because they're a bit softer than we expected them to be. So we're already seeing some like nicks in the wood, so I might even have to look up a little bit of a stronger sealant. I really liked this one because it was like all natural oil, and it looks great, makes it look wet and shiny even though there's no like polyurethane involved. However, I'm hoping just redoing it will make them a little bit stronger. So he put in these flush mount outlets for me so that I don't have to string extension cords all over the place. And here's the stove. It fit perfect in the space we had left over, and we got it hooked up to propane. The pilot light's working. The propane guy wasn't too thrilled with it. He thought it was old and that scary that it had like standing pilot lights and things. So we're still planning to have it rechecked before we completely start using it. Here is us trying to decide what type of backsplash to use. Should we go all the way or partially? We found some stain that matched the butcher block almost perfect for the actual backsplash. We went with a shorter shiplap wall for the floating shelves, champagne brass hardware, and then here is the final reveal for now until part 2, when we decide to change out a few things. We're finding, additional things that we want to do and change.